Good day, my friends. I was going to go over to the place where they have the foam animals, but of course the highway is closed and it'd take 2 hours to get there, so I'm back over at the park again, but that'll have to do. Let's do some shooting and have some fun. Today, I'm going to talk about Jerry Hill's book again. Howard Hill's Method of Shooting the Bow and Arrow by Jerry Hill. Jerry is a very nice guy, and he actually phoned me and thanked me for mentioning his book. And while he was doing that, I realized what a nice fellow he is and how lucky we are that he has told us the way that his Uncle Howard, and we should all call him Uncle Howard. It's a nice term, Uncle Howard. He's adopting us, just like he adopted Jerry. But now Jerry is adopting us, and he's telling us the truth about indirect aiming, or aiming off center, or split vision, all these words. But basically what it means is you look at the target and you point at a spot, which is it's the point of aim, but Howard called it the magic spot, so we'll call it the magic spot. And it's basically look at the target and in your peripheral vision point at the magic spot. And an easy way to practice that is just simply look at a doorknob and look at something on the wall and just go point at it, point at it, point at it again. Do it, and as the days go by, it will get easier and easier to look at that thing over there while you're shooting there. Okay, it's a big deal. Another thing that Jerry talks about in his book is how you look at the magic spot before you look at the target, right? So look at the magic spot. That's where your arrow's going to go. Now look at the target and then push it there. So look at the magic spot first and push it there. Okay, so that's one thing that he's talking about in the book. Another thing is, see how my fingers stick out of my gloves? These old-fashioned style gloves? Well, Howard said you could not learn to shoot if you did not have your fingers hanging out of your glove, because you could feel your face. So that was another thing that was kind of important. And let's see. I think that's just about it. If you start practicing that, it will get natural after a while, because the arrow is going to arc into the target. So it's going to arc into the target, only from an angle. Oh, and listen, here's another thing that I've always used inches, feet and inches in my life. Now, some people use centimeters, but I'll tell you something. I have used it so often that if I say I want to see half an inch, see that? That's half an inch. If I take that right there and measure that, it'll be a half an inch exactly. I just know from experience the half-inch theory, and that's what I call it. I call it the half-inch theory. Now listen, when you're aiming, when you get your dominant eye and your weak eye on the target and you're aiming, see, the point is over there, so it's that far, right? That's what we'll call the magic half-inch. You'll just get to know how far it is, and you'll be able to line it up, just like a guy who has a lot of experience and can just go, that's a half-inch. Okay? Anyhow, that's a little bit of talking, and now let's do some shooting. Okay, back in. Okay, guys, take a couple shots here and warm up a little bit. Yeah, Jerry Hill has a lot in his book about the length of arrows that Howard and his wife Elizabeth and he himself use. There's a lot of stuff in that book. It's well worth getting. It's a good read. It talks about more than just archery too, about how difficult it was for them when they lived in Elizabeth and Howard when they lived in Hollywood. Hollywood's a hungry place. Yeah, you can get the book on Amazon. It's well worth reading. Okay, and if you read the book, you'll be able to shoot like this. There's something else that I want to tell you. Here, let's just move this. Listen, when I release, my hand doesn't move much. So that is kind of a collapse, right? From here to here is a collapse. How do we counteract that loss of power? Well, what happens is, I'll stand back. As my fingers go this way, my hand goes that way. See? Together. It's not a big movement, it's not a great big movement, but there's a compensation. As my fingers leave my face, my hand will go forward just a half inch or so. That gives equal pressure all the way. So there is no collapse in this style. Okay? Anyhow, when you do that kind of stuff, I knocked the target over, I know, but anyhow, you'll get your hits. Okay? Okay. Think it over. Back in a minute. Okay, guys. So, Aaron sent some wooden arrows. And thank you, Aaron. Just asked me to sign one and send the rest back. And I think we can show something very important here, though. Okay, so I shot at the little cup twice. Now I'm going to shoot a foot or so off to the right. Okay. Okay. Now, I want you to see something. Okay? Come here. Let's just walk up here. Now, this is going to prove something to you. So, I had these arrows that are 47 on a 43-pound bow. They're slightly stiff. Okay? Now, look. This is how Howard Hill's system works. You see these two arrows over here? Well, I aimed right at the cup and I shot left twice. Bang, bang. Then I aimed over there about that far on that side, and you can see those two arrows are right on. Okay? So that's indirect aiming. I shot, I have good form, fairly good form. I shot, and that's where I group. So I aim over here, and I group here. That's all there is to it. Indirect aiming, split vision, or as I called it, off-center aiming. It works, it's great. I want you to read Jerry Hill's book. Back in a minute. Well, my friends, once you've learned how to anchor and stand and hold your bow and all that important stuff, there's really only two things that are important in archery. The magic spot and your anchor. If you can put the tip on the magic spot and touch your anchor, you'll hit the target. No? Really? like that. Now I'm only going to take one shot because I knocked the damn target down. Listen, it only stands to make sense that, from a physics point of view, when an arrow hits a target, at one point the tip must have been in a certain spot, and at another point the back of the arrow or the anchor must have been in a certain spot, and that's what made it go like that. If it was down here, it would have gone down there. If it was up here, it would go up there. It's in a perfect spot. Now, if you've got an anchor, and I'm using Howard Hill's anchor, that finger right where my lower back tooth would be, or right where my jaw curves, right there, okay? And also, I'm not using a double anchor. I saw where Howard used to put his thumb, because a lot of target archers do, behind his chin or jaw when he was practicing, and Dr. Elmer had shown him that. He's a great target archer. But when I tried it, I found that it brought my hand in a bit, so it brought my tip over, so when I adjusted, I was shooting left. So I just stopped doing that, and I simply touched the spot and let it all hang from that spot. Okay, anyhow, that's what I'm doing. But what you'll find is that there is a magic spot, and you have an anchor, and if you can put the tip on the magic spot and touch your anchor, you'll hit the target. That's why some of those guys could shoot so fast. So that's what's important. All this, hold the bow this way, hold the bow that way, grip it this way, grip it that way, do this, do that. These are all just things that you will do until you can get consistent. But once you can group, then you find where you're grouping and you just aim accordingly until you hit the target. Okay? But put that tip on and hold it on and get back to your anchor, and you'll take a shot, and you know, you'll hit the target. Okay? Anyhow, we'll be back in a minute. Okay. Okay, guys. This is when the white arrows come into play. It's pretty dark in here. You know, the camera might make it look bright, but it's pretty dark. It's beautiful though, the dusk. I can hear them, but I can't see them. Yeah, it's good enough for this evening. Anyhow, we'll see if we can see them after. So, thank you, Aaron, for the arrows. And thank you, Jerry, and the whole Hill family for all you've done for archery. Oh, and Ray Spackman. I've shortened the arrows again, Ray. Now they're only 26 1/8 long. So go figure that out. But anyhow, we'll see if we can see this, and then we'll take off. So that's in the dark when you can't see. Let's back it up a bit so it's not fuzzy. I can't see the arrows very good there. I don't know if you can see them. It might show up on the YouTube. But anyhow, you guys have a great weekend. Have fun. I'll talk to you later. Bye now. Well, that's it. Canada. Good night.